Hey guys, Julian here, and today I'm going to be talking to you about how to make minimal house like Dimmish and Spillman. As usual, you can get the full project files, samples, MIDI, presets, all of that from this video right at the top of the description, and if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there because it's already available. And yeah, let's dive in. So, we're on 126 BPM. The first thing we have going on here will be all these chord stabs, which sound like this. So as you can see, we have a few different types of things going on here. I'm just going to go down the list here. The first one is this one. So what this is doing is, right off the bat, I'll show you, it's playing this F sharp minor 7 chord. It's just F sharp minor 7 up here, and then it's the same exact chord, but it's an octave down over there. So yeah, this is pretty straightforward for this style. Typically, you wouldn't just use like a regular major or minor chord. You can, but adding this minor 7th on top gives it a more sort of like jazzy and just more exciting feel. So like if I play this for you where it's just a regular minor chord, that's what that sounds like, and then here's with that minor 7th on top. So you see what I mean? Like, that's what really gives it the character and the vibe. This style of music is all about vibes and sort of bringing in that jazzy, kind of more deep house influence. And this is a great way to do that. And yeah, and then like I said, this chord is just an octave down. And then I have a little bit of this velocity set here as well, where you can see it's like a little bit quieter on the first chord. So, it's not just brow, brow, when you kind of get like kind of like building like that. And yeah, for the sound with this one, this is made with analog. So it's a square wave and a saw wave. You can see they're an octave apart and they're detuned a little bit. Those are going into a bandpass filter here, which has an envelope on it. You can see it's a really short envelope. So that's how you create this sort of like plucky chord. You could use a low pass filter or a band pass filter, maybe even a high pass filter in some cases if you really want to try something crazy. But yeah, just kind of like having that, it's like a very fast sort of subtractive synthesis, because we're taking this very harmonically rich sound and then the filter just cuts it down so that it's a certain frequency range, and then the envelope is making it kind of pluck. Then we just have the amp envelope set like this. I've got a bit of vibrato as well as a bit of unison. Those are actually pretty crucial. If I turn off the vibrato, you can hear it's a completely different sound. It doesn't nearly have as much, like, no pun intended, but vibe. And then the unison just makes it a bit bigger and more full. Then we have a bit of chorus, which is spreading the sound out and giving it kind of some more space. This sounds really good on these types of stabs because it kind of puts them in a different place in the mix, where it's more like kind of on the outer edges of the stereo field rather than just being like right down the center. Then we have this echo and reverb, so these are also giving the sound some space and kind of like some time, like you can hear this echo. It's pretty busy and it gives it a lot of character, and then the reverb is also giving it a little bit of space. You can see it's really short. And then finally, we just have this drum bus, which you can see this is like really fattening this up. So here's without it. And then with it, it really just takes it from being like kind of this quiet, chill synth sound to being like a really full, fat chord stab. And yeah, then for the second one. So you can hear this one's a little bit different. The idea here is you want different styles of stabs, because if we just had like 3 of the ones like I just showed you, it wouldn't really be that exciting. But when you have kind of like different contrasting elements like this, you can hear it really creates a lot of groove and a lot of excitement in the track. So with this one, it's playing that same chord I just showed you. It's just the F minor 7. Again, just regular F minor, but with the 7th on top. And then for this one is made with FM synthesis. So what this is it's just 2 sine waves. You can see they're like 7 octaves apart here with the chorus pitch. And what's happening is I just have the attack on the first one turned up. So it's kind of, that's how you're getting that like fade into the note like that. And then with the second one, yeah, it's just literally just adding that like FM sort of brightness to the sound. And then those are going into this low pass filter. So here's without that. You can hear it's actually like a really sharp sound without it. And then we're just turning that on to kind of make it a bit deeper and smoother. Then we have a bit of chorus, which also makes it a bit smoother and deeper. It's just like with that last one I was telling you, like just kind of helps to put it in a different place in the stereo field. Then we have some reverb. This one's a little bit longer than the last one, but yeah, you can just hear that ringing out. Very vibey because I turned the size down so you get that kind of like quick slapback feel. And then finally we just have a bit of drum bass just to kind of beef it up. And this also helps to bring out the reverb too. Like a lot of times if you have a sound that just feels like it's not really fitting into the mix right, you know, maybe you can hear it a little bit, but it's not really like right on top where you want it to be. And the reverb, you're not really hearing the reverb properly. You know, some saturation like this can go a long way. And then the last chord stab that we have down here sounds like this. So this one is made using a sample. Again, like I said, I like the sound of having the different contrasting ones. Like, we have the one that's very clearly a synth. And then you just get that quick little bow, bow at the end of every 2 bars to kind of just reset it. And you can hear you get a really different vibe when you use these audio ones like this. But yeah, so this one's just in here. And then I'm kind of going through a bit of echo. This has a 16th note echo. And then a bit of drum bass to beef it up. And yeah, that's it for the chord stabs. So like I said, you know, it's just all about having maybe like 2 or 3. Sometimes it can even be 4 or 5 if you really want to go crazy in the track. And just having like some different contrasting sounds that are going to add a lot of groove as well as melodic content on top of your track. So the next thing we have here is the kick. You know, just sort of your standard, like, really punchy, fat, 909 style kick. I've got this one going through a bit of drum bass, so here's without it. You can hear, you can really hear the 909 there now. And then with it, so this just makes this, like, really punched in the mix, you know, it's really hitting hard. And also I've got the transients turned up, so that's just really making that punch through a lot more. This is a really great way to do that. Like if you're having a hard time getting that kind of like thump out of your kick. Like if I turn this drum bass off, the kick is in there, but you're not really getting that like doom, doom, doom. This drum bass and in particular turning up that transient knob, it's a really great way to fix that. Then we have the bass line, which sounds like this. So here is the MIDI. This is actually pretty simple. It's all just notes that are really straightforward in the F sharp minor scale. Like I said, that's the key we're in. So you can see we have F sharp, the root note. We have A, which is just a minor third. B, which is the 4th. And then C sharp, which is the 5th. And then this E down here, that's just the minor 7th. So that was actually that same voice that I was showing you with the chords. But yeah, so it's a pretty simple bass line. The main thing here is just the way that we're playing with like the call and response here, because we're starting, you know, on the root note and kind of low, and then it bounces up here, and then for the rest of this bass line you can see it's just up high. You know, it's just playing with that dynamic, and then we resolve it on the F sharp there. So yeah, pretty simple bass line. The way that I write these bass lines typically is I'll do something like this. Like, I'll duplicate this so we still have it. Like, I'll start with all the notes, like write out the pattern, but just on one note. So maybe you'd have like, you know, that's really simple. You just kind of have to like listen to the kick and think of what you want, you know. You know, like a simple rhythm like that. And then once you have those notes, that's when you can start going and moving them around, just using notes that are in the scale. So like if I do it here, like, okay, so we'll do like the 4th, we'll do a 5th for that one, 5th for that one as well, minor 3rd there. And there we go. You can see like already it's pretty quick to write another bass line. So yeah, the way I recommend doing it, come up with the rhythm that you want, you know, almost imagine it's like a percussion instrument, and then just use notes that are in the scale that you're already in to accentuate it and make something kind of interesting like this. Now, for the sound with this one, this is made using operator. This is an FM bass. So what we're doing is we actually have a saw wave here. You may hear this sounds like kind of like just a regular saw wave going through a low pass filter, but with something a little bit extra to it. So that's what this is. It's this saw wave here, and if I turn off the low pass, you can see we have it being FM by these two sine waves. So here's what it sounds like without being low pass. It's actually kind of a crazy sound. But then you low pass it, and like I said, we're doing subtractive synthesis. We're taking a really harmonically rich sound, and then just making this deeper, kind of fatter sound out of it. just by cutting it back with the filter. You can see I've got the envelope up. And yeah, so that's how you do that. I recommend trying this. Like, just take FM synthesis, work with some saw waves and some square waves, create some kind of like really big fat sound like this, and then just dial it back a bit, and then you get this really nice full sounding bass line. And so then that's just going through a bit of drum bus to beef it up a little bit. I have this EQ8 cutting out a bit of room for the kick as well and boosting the lows. And then the kick and the bass are in a group. This is pretty standard practice for this style of track. Pretty much any track you hear in the style, this is how they're mixing the kick and bass just to get the low end to sound really proper. So here's without it. And with it, you can hear both the kick and bass, although this is only a little bit of saturation. Both the kick and bass feel really big now as a result of having this, and it's really going to tie your low end together. And yeah, that's it for the lows. Then we have all this percussion down here, so I'll just kind of go down the list. Starts with this main open hi-hat. It sounds like this. The way this was made was actually by taking this kind of longer sample. That's it, and then you can see I just shortened it. So we just get this quick, tighter, and punchier sort of hi-hat. So yeah, this is really great for this style. You just get like this really fast sound like this that has a lot more punch to it as opposed to that long like type of hi-hat. You really don't want that. You need this to just be like a quick like that. So that's how we did that. Next percussion we have here would be this little group which sounds like this. So this is just these two sounds in a drum rack. It's the zap and then this bongo sound. I put these two together because they're kind of playing off of each other. We get that like. So yeah, the bongo is just a sample. The zap is actually made using a synth. So I have operator here. You can actually put synths inside of drum racks if that's what you're trying to do. The way I made this is, you can see it's really simple. It's just a saw wave with a short envelope, and then it's going into a pitch envelope. And the key here is just having the pitch envelope go from a high point down to a really low point. It also helps if you just have like a quick like that, like a little bit of attack at the start. You could even do more probably, like that. And yeah, that's how you get the zap. It's really simple, and it's really easy with operator too, because you can just turn on the pitch envelope right there. And yeah, and then like I said, those are just in a drum rack together. Then we have this little rising percussion, which sounds like this. So this is actually really simply made. This is just like a nice little element to kind of have something that's moving. What I was really trying to do with this video was not just have like some different percussions happening in the background, but have something that's more dynamic and has a little bit more life to it. And this is a great way to do that because every time now every 2 bars essentially you're having this, and then it goes back down. So like it's kind of a cool way to add some call and response into the track. And this is made, like I said, really simply. All it is just some white noise inside of operator. That's all it is. And then I put this resonator on here. We have it on the B setting, so we're getting that more sort of metallic feel. I have it tuned to G sharp just because that was the note that felt good. Since this is moving in pitch, it didn't really matter if it's in key. But then the way that I have the pitch going up is I'm actually using this sort of like detune / offset thing here, where it just kind of helps to move it in between the notes. And then we're just automating that. So again, really simple way to kind of add something with a bit more life to it. If you just only use like programmed percussions that are just like, only about like the 16th notes and 8th notes, you're not really going to have a lot of life to your beat. But if you add stuff like this that has automation and has some life to it and kind of feels more like it's, living and breathing, your groove is going to be a lot more together and a lot more exciting. And yeah, then after that we just have the snare, pretty simple stuff. Your standard sort of like deep house snare. Like that. Then we have this little drum machine hi-hat, which is playing off of the snare. Like if you listen to those two together. Then we have the second snare, which sounds like this. So this one is also just this little snare sample. You can see I'm actually getting 2 hits out of it because we're playing it at different pitches. But then what I did here is I've automated the panning actually, so that it's going like back and forth from the left to the right ear. So again, this is all about like bringing the groove to life. Like instead of just having everything right down the center, now at the end of every bar, you get something jumping at you in either ear. You know, so it kind of like brings it to life even more because now we're having some automation. We have something where like at the end of every bar, you're going to get this quick little like jump of percussion in either ear. And yeah, I think this is a really great way to bring your beat to life. You know, I definitely recommend play with the panning. Of course, you know, with dance music, a lot of times you do want it to work in mono because of the fact that typically club systems are going to be in mono. But this is still going to work in mono. Like if we put this in mono, you're still going to hear the snare. You still get those 2 hits. It's just, this is something a little bit extra for when you are listening in stereo. Then we just have this little closed hi-hat. It's pretty quiet, but it's in there. Just doing that quick little in the background. You know, this is the subtle stuff that actually does add a lot of energy. Just having that constant versus if we don't have it. It feels a bit more like the intro of the track. And then when we turn it on, now it's a lot more rolling. Then we have these 2 little extra hi-hats, just some sort of like essentially, these are just like accentuating what that closed hi-hat was doing. And yeah, then the last percussion layer here is the clap. So this one is pretty straightforward. It's more about the type of sound here, like just getting this more mid-rangey, sort of like cracky sort of clap, as opposed to like a more straightforward sort of hand clap. Then I just have that all in a group. Again, really standard practice with this style. This is really the best way to get all your percussion to work together. You know, when you have this much percussion, you have to do something to kind of tie it all together. Otherwise, like, if you just had all of these separate from each other and they weren't all in a group being processed together under one roof, you would have kind of a hard time hearing everything. Like, you'd have one thing that's like way too quiet here, one thing that's way too loud. It would be kind of messy. But then putting this all through this drum bus like this, it's just gonna kind of like even out the textures and glue it all together. Here's without it. You can kind of see what I'm talking about. Like it's a bit all over the place, but then with it, it all comes together really nicely. And yeah, so that is it for the percussion, and that is also going to be it for this video, guys. So, as always, I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like this video as well as subscribe, and let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get the full project file, samples, MIDI, presets, all of that from this video right at the top of the description. And if you're patient on my Patreon, check there because it's already available. Thank you so much, guys. This is a great way to support me. I've been really appreciating all the support on the videos lately. You guys have been really killing it, and it means a lot to see all this stuff. So yeah, that's me for this one, guys. Thank you very much, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.